effective into that Typhlosion with its past ghost typing.
That's very true, actually. The Typhlosion has the fire terror type there as well, so it has the utility to maybe even drop that ghost typing and reduce its own super effectiveness to a Shadow Ball from the opposing Golden Go. But if it gets that nasty flop boost up as well, it's going to be formidable. So let's jump into top 8 and get the game started. It's Dragonite and Ursaluna on one side versus Torkoal and Jumpluff, the iconic duo, together once again.
There we go. There's the sunset on the field for the next 5 turns in the Jumpluff's Chlorophyll activated, doubling its speed. It's going to be the fastest thing on Joe's side, fastest thing from Eden's point of view, and it is going to threaten with that sleep powder onto one of these targets. Which one do you go to? Maybe the Ursaluna is the target because it is switching straight out, Lou.
I love the speed that Joe UGARTE locks his moves in with every single time. He knows what he wants to do. Incineroar joins the field for Eden. It's going to throw an Intimidate down, but to no avail against 2 Pokemon here that are not going to mind too much about it. It's really about that fake out going into the following turn. The critical thing, though, is it gets Torkoal off the field.
Yeah, activating that eject pack because of the attack drop there, it does give Joe the ability to reposition and maybe keep it safe for later on in this battle. Of course, you're in front of a Dragonite that may be firing a scale shot out this turn, but the sleep powder, it is into that Incineroar. Safety goggles proving their worth already.
I honestly really like this adaptation, and now we're seeing the scale slot target down into the Jumpluff. Possibly the 5 hits might be enough to get the knockout here. My maths is terrible, so I'm going to leave it up to Dragonite to see if it proves me right or wrong.
It is the 5th hit, and it is not enough. You can see Joe has trained this Jumpluff perfectly to survive that. And the Dragonite now going to get that speed boost, which is so pivotal in this game against such a speedy Jumpluff. Unfortunately, probably not going to be enough to get the jump on it with that Chlorophyll because the speed is doubled on the Jumpluff, and it's so fast anyway. So it's going to have another go at the sleep powder. Obviously not into that Incineroar. Has to be wary now of the fake out. Although it can't flinch, it can be a priority attack that can be enough to take down this Jumpluff.
Yeah, only on 4 HP remaining. That fake out's going to be more than enough to get the knockout. I also like the way that this Incineroar forced the switch with the Torkoal, meaning that Kingambit had to come onto the field, and it's come in then unable to catch and intimidate because Incineroar was already there. Joseph, I think, realizing, hey, I need to keep my jump up for later on, and let's bring the Torkoal back into play just to make sure that I have some pressure here.
Yeah, and we are going to kick off this turn 2 with a terrestrialization. Where will it be? Well, it's onto that Kingambit on Joe's side of the field, and the Kingambit has that flying terror type.
I like this as well. You know, you don't have to worry too much about a Flare Blitz coming through, for example, here from the imposing Incineroar, as Dragonite just goes straight for the scale shot. So this is going to connect down into Kingambit. It is going to be able to hang on, but this damage is really stacking up, as well as utilizing the fact that Dragonite will get a speed boost going forward.
Yeah, it's going to be a +2 after this one. The critical hit there, taking it down 4 hits. That's all we've got, but the Kingambit in a pretty good space if it can outspeed this. Incineroar has taken away that Flare Blitz damage, and a low kick into the Incineroar going to be very useful there, taking it down 50%. Is the Flare Blitz enough? Under the sun, it is more than enough to take down this terrestrialized Pokemon from Joe's side of the field.
Yeah, Torkoal helping out its opponent there a little bit and enabling the Flare Blitz to get the knockout. Really nice double up by Eden, eliminating that threat and also forcing Joe to have utilized the Terror, and it's now gone. Joe does have the utility to bring in Jumpluff from the back, benefit from the sun being in the sky, activating his Chlorophyll ability, but as you said, the Dragonite is now also at +2.
Yeah, the +2, but I still think the Jumpluff, because it's naturally speedier than the Dragonite, it's going to have the one turn now where the fake out's not an option to get that Tailwind off, and that might be the pivotal thing that Joe needs to do, get that Tailwind up, so it sets up that Hisuian Typhlosion that we've already seen in the back. Then it allows it to come in and fire off those eruptions, but the sun is on a counter now. There isn't many turns left for Joe to be able to utilize that and the Tailwind. You can see how Eden has been positioning their Pokemon, making it very hard for Joe to get any sort of momentum swing in this game.
Might even see a Protect come out from the Dragonite just so it doesn't have to take a Sleep Powder, but instead, Jumpluff going to go for the Tailwind here. Maybe think Protect was coming through, and even if it does go down, at least it set the speed up on its side of the field to match the Tailwind blowing up a storm behind Eden's team.
Yeah, there we go, and a parting shot from that Incineroar. Going to be onto the Torkoal, going to lower that attack and its special attack by 1 stage. Going to weaken any moves that come out, like that Burning Jealousy or anything like that that we could see. Maybe trying to scout out a scale shot from that Dragonite, but a really smart play from Eden, matching the Tailwind here to say, if you're going to set it up, I'm going to set it up. And the Overheat coming out now, it's going to catch that Ursaluna in the sun, but not really as impactful because of that Assault Vest. You can see the value of the item right there.
Not just the Assault Vest, but the parting shot as well. Incineroar once again demonstrating its flexibility on a team. I think getting the Ursaluna in is really nice in this position, though. You can apply a lot of pressure with something like the Earth Power into that opposing Torkoal.
Yeah, you can, and the Torkoal now in a position where it is -3, it's not really going to be that impactful. I mean, you can go for those Burning Jealousies because you can try and get that scale shot if it is going to come out. The jump bluff in a position where it has got access to sleep powder. It is going to be able to pressure the Ursaluna, but that vacuum wave showing its worth once again. How useful is that? Not normally seen on the Blood Moon Ursaluna, but able to pick up the remaining HP on that jump bluff.
That's the exact moment you need one of those cheeky priority moves in play, and Ursaluna able to secure the knockout as Scale Shot will come down and connect onto the opposing Torkoal. Now the thing is, Burning Jealousy could come through. Of course, it's going to be jealous of the speed boost that the Dragonite is going to gain from this attack, and therefore can inflict it with a burn.
Yeah, it does so much damage. That 5-hit Scale Shot, it is going to get another speed boost. Now Dragonite in the position with that jump off the field, it is going to be the fastest thing, and another overheat from the Torkoal, not wanting to switch out here, just taking another -2 to its special attack. And now the living legend Typhlosion hitting the field in the sun, still active. Is it going to be enough though to close this game up? It doesn't look like it. Joe feels like an in position, maybe calling in the cancellation. We'll have to see if that is what has been locked.
Yeah, I feel for this little Torkoal. I was kind of thinking Burning Jealousy could give you some utility, but instead Torkoal just happily clicking that overheat button and lowering his special attack further and further. Considering Joe only has 2 Pokemon remaining on his side of the field, there's no opportunity to switch out and reset that. So even though Typhlosion does join the field, I think going through 4 Pokemon is a little bit too much for that one to handle. So Joe resetting for game 2, but Eden, what a match they have had there.
Yeah, incredible lead from Eden, and the turn 1 switch into the Incineroar, catching that sleep powder onto that slot, really just opened the door from then on out to support the Dragonite and get it into a position where you're maybe not picking up knockouts, but you're putting things in very close range. You can see how well Joe's trained his Pokemon there, surviving the 5 turns of Scale Shot.
4 HP.
Yeah.
Oh.
But having to, and knowing the value of the jump bluff in that situation, having to take it out, it puts you at a real deficit at that point where you're switching something in that you may not necessarily want to, and that's always giving Eden a little step closer to taking the match, and exactly what happened in the end. And then that vacuum wave as well was just, its worth there was amazing, and being able to switch in on the initial overheat.
Yes.
Quite rightly, after you mentioned the parting shot had lowered that Torkoal's attack 1 stage, but still being able to take it in the sun so well was just a testament to how well this Ursaluna can perform in these certain situations.
I love this Ursaluna, honestly.
Yeah.
I know we've been talking about how scary Blood Moon Ursaluna is to look at, but I think Eden might have the scariest Ursaluna out there today. The Assault Vest showing that it's really ready for battle and to take all of those special defensive attacks. Really nice play, and the Vacuum Wave just the cherry on top. I wonder if it's going to be another key piece for Eden in this match. It's front and center with the Dragonite facing down against the jump bluff, and this time the King Gambit on Joe's side. That jump bluff is very speedy with or without the sun.
Yeah, and I think there will be a different approach to this match after that game 1 and how one-sided it was. Joe has to make some adaptations, and exactly that here with the King Gambit now on the field. It is going to be threatened by that Ursaluna, of course, with that Earth Power, but you do have that terrestrialization that Joe lent on so heavily in that first game with that flying that does give you the immunity here. The drawback of that is, of course, you lose the resistance to those dragon type attacks from that Scale Shot, and you lose the resistance to those normal type attacks from the Blood Moon. So a little bit iffy here. We're seeing Eden go straight into it.
Yes, terrestrialization straight out of the blocks, and it's going to be on that Ursaluna turning into a water type here. Really nice defensive play utility. Jump Up just going to go straight away for the Tailwind, making the speed up on Joe's side to help out that King Gambit a little bit more. That now is quicker, can go for the low kick. The critical hit does a huge amount of damage, even though it's taken away its weakness. Jump Up once again going to have to take these scale shots. We know it has the capability to hang on.
Is it going to be a roll, or is it always going to survive? We've got the 4 here. Will it get another one, and will it survive? That is huge, and it just survives. That is always going to survive, it appears. Joe has trained it extremely well. What a terrestrialization, though, from Eden, being able to get rid of that fighting type weakness that allows it to hang on, fire back with a big Blood Moon to guarantee the knockout on that huge disruptive supportive Pokemon on Joe's side in the jump bluff.
I love that double off down into the jump up slot. Not only does it guarantee that you get it, you can kind of argue that the Blood Moon maybe was a little bit more force than was necessary, but if there had been a switch in to something like the Torkoal, for example, you at least know that you eliminate that Pokemon too.
Yeah, that's the big thing, and I think now you are, Joe, you've got your Tailwind up, so you are going to outspeed everything, even though the Dragonite on Eden's side has had that +1. You've got the +2 on your side for now. You need to try and remove this Dragonite as soon as possible. Can you do that? You're not going to be able to this turn because of the Protect.
Well, maybe your Dragonite can get a scale shot off at some point. That was what Joe was trying to do, to remove the opposing dragon from play. But instead, it's going to be down to Kingambit to try and get the damage on the board with another low kick. Without the critical hit, though, it is not going to be able to get the KO. And Ursaluna free to go for the Hyper Voice. Underwhelming damage, however.
Yeah, underwhelming. Breaking that multi-scale, though, all important, especially if you're wanting to get rid of the opposing Dragonite from Eden's side of the field. Obviously, their multi-scale is still intact, and you still have access to that vacuum wave. One last attack from the Ursaluna might be what we see here into that Kingambit. Can Joe predict that, though? Maybe you have to commit to a Sucker Punch in that slot to avoid that vacuum wave.
I mean, at least the vacuum wave, it doesn't do a huge amount of damage, but it would be 4 times super effective. That could just be a little bit of chip that you could utilize, particularly considering Eden has done the risky play, has brought the Incineroar into the game. The Intimidate will then activate on the Kingambit, the Defiant ability, boosting its attack right back up. So if you're Eden, you need to get rid of this Kingambit somehow, but unfortunately, it's got moves of its own. It KOs your Ursaluna before it has a chance to KO you.
Yeah, getting bait a 1 piece on Eden's side of the field. A really nice play here from Joe, just safe there, and now able to take advantage of that Defiant.
Yes, Defiant is going to be detrimental for Eden. The Incineroar, for its troubles, is going to have to take these scale shots as well. Of course, it's going to be able to hang on, but Joseph, I think, once again capitalizing on the speed necessity of this match. The Tailwind was up in play. Now Dragonite is getting its speed boosted up as well, for when that Tailwind inevitably expires, it's still going to be in a prime position.
Yeah, I like this a lot more from Joe, and I think because the Dragonite has switched out on Eden's side, it has lost that speed boost. It puts itself in a bit of a disadvantage already. You are back on the field, of course, and you do have access to fake out support here, so able to slow at least something down this turn. The Dragonite on Joe's side a little bit threatened now because of that fake out combination with the double up into that slot with a scale shot, which could be detrimental because the multi-scale has been broken here, and we are going to see a terrestrialization now from Joe's side. He's going to maybe go for the Dragonite to take away that dragon weakness.
I really like to see this play. I'm thinking you could just protect in front of the fake out, for example, but actually just going into the Fairy Terror type means it doesn't matter if scale shot comes its way. The opposing Incineroar doesn't go for this. Obviously, if it is followed up by a scale shot, it's not going to do any damage, but at least you stop the Dragonite from moving of its own accord. Low kick sweeps Incineroar under the carpet, under the rug, and out of this match.
Yeah, you can see the value of this low kick. It's not so common on the Kingambit, but Joe utilizing it so well in this match. Tailwind coming out from Eden here, as we do see the Tailwind pittering out on Joe's side. So that means everything on Eden's side going to be slightly faster for the next few turns. And what Pokemon would you like? A really speedy Sneasler to help you kind of clean up things from Joe's side.
Eden taking a leaf out of Joe's book and the way he's played this game too so far. Eden now gets to capitalize on the Tailwind. Really nice play as well, because you know that the fake out was going to stop the Dragonite from going for any damage. You were free to set up that Tailwind as your opponent's one expired. Sneasler actually just going straight for a protect here. Maybe Eden wants to try and remove this Kingambit from play before Sneasler is able to move and expose its Focus Sash.
Yeah, we see that extreme speed into that slot blocked, and the Sucker Punch doubling up. You were exactly on the money there, Lou. And a really great read from Eden as that scale shot comes out. It does miss the Kingambit, though. Unfortunately, that is a huge miss. Here we are with this Dragonite now on Joe's side of the field. The double-edged sword, the Sneasler coming in, the Diaclaw going to be super effective against it, so forcing that switch out, even though the one thing is, though, the Garchomp are great switching, because there's no way Eden's really going to go for that scale shot into that Fairy Terror type.
Yes, and now it leaves the Kingambit free to go for the Sucker Punch into the opposing Sneasler. Yes, there's no Extreme Speed coming through in this time, and it allows the Diaclaw to get off. Garchomp, you don't see that every day, a ground type paralyzed, but that is the magic of the Diaclaw. Could potentially slow down Garchomp's offensive pressure now. Dragonite can go for that scale shot, but as you can see, it is doing such minimal damage to this opposing Kingambit.
Yeah, the Kingambit able to take this pretty well in. I think Joe's managed the Sneasler extremely well in this game. The Garchomp coming in, getting paralyzed, not the best, but at the same time, that Sneasler now in Sucker Punch range. The next time it attacks, it's going to go down as long as Joe locks in with that. And the Dragonite not causing too many issues yet, especially when Joe has that Fairy type terrestrialization on their own Dragonite in the back to bring in. So all you need to do really is remove the Sneasler, and it looks plain sailing from there. Of course, there is a lot to do before we get to that point.
I mean, the thing is, even if the Sneasler protects, Kingambit might as well go for the Sucker Punch. Even if you don't manage to get the KO, Sneasler's not doing any damage. Dragonite will go for scale shot into Kingambit, and as you can do, it does barely any damage. Maybe allowing that Garchomp to try and get some damage off onto the opposing Dragonite. The Protect comes through. I think this is wise by Eden, maybe still trying to scramble away to get rid of this opposing King Gambit that, as you can see, applies so much pressure, knockout pressure, into the opposing Sneasler.
Yeah, and I think this is the only thing that Eden could do at this point, rely on these skill shots to try and eliminate this King Gambit. You can see the Sucker Punch coming out once again into that Sneasler. The problem is going into the next turn, if the Sneasler decides to protect once again, King Gambit Sucker Punch fails, and then the scale shot goes into the King Gambit. It looks like it probably will be enough, and we've got one more turn of Tailwind left, and all the time these scale shots are coming out. Oh, that's huge! The Dragonite gets away because the Garchomp fully paralyzed.
That buys the Dragonite a little bit of time. If Garchomp was going for something like the Dragon Claw, it would have done a significant chunk of damage and critically broken the multi-scale for a KO in the following turn. Now King Gambit, actually, great observationally, is in a detrimental position to not be able to take another 5-shot scale shot. The Protect comes through, enabling a Sucker Punch to fail, if that is what King Gambit has gone for, and that's exactly the play that Joe made. Can the Dragonite pull through? It lands the first scale shot, the move is connecting, but will it get all 5 hits?
It's going to be very close. You can see it's about 9 to 10 HP every time. We've got 3, we've got 4. Is it going to be enough with this final one? It might just hang on, and it does just hang on, just missing out on the knockout. The 5 hits was not enough to take down this King Gambit.
Once again, my math's a little out of check, but Joe UGARTE's is not. Dragon Claw comes down. Oh! One hit KO. Who cares about multi-scale?
All those defense drops really coming back to bite Eden here, because those defense drops from the multi-scale, from the scale shot, they're giving the speed boost, but all the time it's getting weaker, and the Dragon Claw super effective, ignoring the multi-scale and being able to take it down so easily.
I was not expecting that. Completely fixated on the speed boosts that it was able to get, forgetting that when it's using those scales to throw its shots across the field, it's weakening its armor. Oh my goodness. Congratulations that Joe has evened the score. Oh my goodness, Garchomp was awesome.
Taking us to a game 3, and yeah, Garchomp, even though it was paralyzed, came out in the end as what Joe needed to close this matchup. Tie it up, take us to a game 3, an incredible fashion, all very fast-paced as well. The way that Eden played that end game was perfectly as well, you know, going for the Protect on that Sneasler on the last turn, the 3rd turn, very risky there, because the Garchomp maybe could have scouted that and went into that instead of the Dragonite, but thankfully paying off going into the Dragonite, and because of those defense drops, we see the Dragon Claw with that Life Orb boost as well, going to be more than enough, and I'm sure Joe was aware of that. The Paralyze did complicate things there, but Joe overcoming it, and it comes down to this next game.
I mean, depending on how long that paralysis wanted to hang around on the field as well, it could have meant that Joe was kind of utilized to play with only one Pokemon. As it happened, it was only once that it affected Garchomp and it was able to break through. Now, Lee, going into game number 3, we've seen a few adaptations from Joe where, for example, Jumpluff has always come up front and center, but it's had a different duo next to it. Do you think Joe's going to go back to the classic Torkoal Jumpluff combination, or do you feel like the speed boost from Chlorophyll is just not necessary?
I don't think it's needed. I think in that game too, it shone through that it wasn't necessary in that situation. I think Jumpluff's primary goal is always going to be trying to get that Tailwind up, because with the Tailwind it supports the other members of your team to come in particular that King Gambit. And I think then you've got to always consider that there will be maybe a Sneasler in the back, and you're going to have to manage that. The terrestrialization on the King Gambit always feels like something you want to do, but if you go for it, then you kind of open yourself up to other issues on the opposite side of the field.
Well, it's going to be a 3rd different combination here for Joe, as it's going to be the Dragonite and the Jumpluff front and center, and on the opposing side for Eden, we have got the Sneasler and the Dragonite. Both dragons have come out to play.
Yeah, both dragons here, and that skill shot so important in this match. You can see the utility. Eden is aware of the terrestrialization on Joe's end, so will it commit to a skill shot into that slot? If the terrestrialization comes out, it could be very detrimental to Eden in this early part of the game. But the Jumpluff under pressure now, because it is going to be outsped by that Sneasler, so there is that initial attack that it could take here, and then maybe even a double up into that slot, which could be a way to remove that from the field really early on. Joe does have the advantage here, where if you want to keep it on the field, you can go straight for that Tailwind.
Maybe Sneasler thinking the Torkoal was going to come in, boost up the speed a little bit for that Jumpluff, instead making an adaptation where the Incineroar is able to come in, apply that Intimidate down. That's going to be detrimental against the opposing Dragonite, but Jumpluff also leaving the field. Yeah,
Jumpluff want to be kept for later. I think Joe, knowing and realizing how important this Pokemon can be to disrupting and supporting the rest of his team, King Gambit making its way onto the field, maybe scouting out a skill shot into that slot, and the King Gambit's going to be able to resist it pretty easily. And there we go. There is the fairy terrestrialization from the Dragonite.
I honestly really like this play, considering considering how many scale shots we have seen thrown down in this match, turning into a fairy type is a perfect play, and it's something that Joe used so well in Game 2. It's nice to see Eden utilizing it in Game 3, but it looks like they are not alone, as the Dragonite on Joe's side is also going to match it with the Fairy Crown.
Yeah, one going for it, the other going for it. Snap, match, and here we go. Who has scale shotted into their other Dragonite? You can see the Dragonite does scale shot. It doesn't affect Eden's, and Eden, oh no, Joe does not fall for it. Goes for the Incineroar, just in case there was the terrestrialization. Eden going for the scale shot into Joe's.
Yes, really like to see this play come through. Joe being able to go down into the Incineroar, get a little bit of chip damage. If it had remained that Sneasler as well, not only would you have broken the Focus Sash, but most likely been able to get the KO as well. You have to be careful though, knowing that Sneasler's in the back and you're now a Fairy type. Yeah,
you do, and now with the Incineroar on the field, it has got that fake out, so it's going to have the ability to break the multi-scale on the Dragonite. It kind of forced Joe to almost protect it here. So can Joe say, oh, you're more likely to go for the big out into the King Gambit?
Well, Incineroar's going to take that Sucker Punch, catching it by surprise a little bit as the Scale Shot comes through, and I really like this play by Joe, realizing sometimes Scale Shot may not be able to hit all 5 of its hits, but maybe Sucker Punch can help push it over the edge. He leans back in his seat knowing it needed that 5th one. It didn't get it. Dragonite unable to pull through for the knockout.
It does get the +2 to its speed stat though, but that miss is huge.
Oh my goodness, and the Tailwind goes up on Eden's side of the field, so they have this speed advantage, and Incineroar already capitalizing on it. Flare Blitz, huge damage into King Gambit, not enough to be able to get the KO. Will do a lot of damage to Incineroar and fell it, but this is perfect. The Incineroar was able to hang on, get that damage across the board, and now give Eden the free switch to a Pokemon in the back.
Yeah, that damage onto the King Gambit is vital, because if that Blood Moon Ursaluna is in the back and it's got that vacuum move, it's going to have a really easy way to just clean up that King Gambit before it's able to do anything, especially with that Tailwind support now that's been set up from Eden's side of the field. The Sneasler coming back onto the field is going to pressure the Dragonite on Joe's end, especially after the Tailwind. It's going to be in that position you'd think, oh, the skill shot though on Joe's side, it's got +2, but yes, the Tailwind's there. Sneasler naturally outspeeds the Dragonite, so going to have the jump on it, and it is going to pressure with that Diaclaw. We saw how impactful that was in Game 1, Game 2.
Sneasler has its pick of the litter a little bit here, who it wants to target, but the Fairy Dragonite getting out of there. I was thinking you could go for the Extreme Speed to break the Focus Sash, but the risk of taking that Diaclaw is too detrimental. King Gambit's like, I can break the Focus Sash with my priority move though, so it goes for it and does that, as the Diaclaw this time will connect into the Garchomp. No paralysis to come through. Rough Skin going to chip away a little bit more here.
Yeah, and the Scale Shot now coming out from the Dragonite. It's going to be into the King Gambit. This time, it will be enough. It will be enough. Only needing 3 to take down that Pokemon and reducing one of the Pokemon on Joe's side. And now, go down to 3 Pokemon. You've got the Dragonite in the back. We know that's a pretty good health. Jumpluff as well can come in, but it isn't going to really enjoy being in front of the Dragonite that's so speedy and supported by Tailwind as well as that Sneasler.
And there's no Torkoal for Joe here either, so you don't have the utility to put the Sun in the Sky and activate the Chlorophyll ability for that Jumpluff. It's really going to come down to the Dragonite here, trying to maybe go for an Extreme Speed. There's no Tailwind utility on Joe's Dragonite here to be able to match the Dragonite on Eden's side.
No, and the Extreme Speed, will it be enough? It's going to be very close onto that Sneasler, of course, and the Garchomp under threat here from the opposing Dragonite on Eden's side. From that Skill Shot, you know from the range that the Garchomp's in will go down to it, and especially with that speed advantage. So you need to remove the Sneasler as kind of one of those first pieces while protecting your Garchomp. Do you protect this turn, or do you switch out into the Jumpluff? Probably not. With the one thing about the Jumpluff, you could switch it in on a Scale Shot. You know that it can take 5 moves, but is it going to get you any further forward in this match? Preserving the Garchomp, it might do, but it might put you a little bit further back, knowing how important that Jumpluff could be when the Tailwind ends on Eden's side.
Yes, you always want to try and get the Tailwind up with your Jumpluff, but instead of defensive play coming through from Joe, just going for the Protect on the Garchomp, as the Dragonite on the opposing side does indeed go for that Scale Shot, so a really nice defensive play utilized by Joe here, as the Sneasler does find its mark with that Diaclaw, the multi-scale really helping out. And is there a secondary effect? It is going to be that paralysis, but whether or not the Dragonite can pull through is yet to be determined, and it does not. It has done the same as its Dragon partner in the previous game.
Diaclaw showing its worth there. The Dragonite on Joe's side, it didn't want to go for that Extreme Speed, knowing that it might be not enough to pick up the knockout, wanting to lock in with that Scale Shot into the Sneasler to guarantee it, and it all comes back, and Eden taking full advantage. Oh, and the Extreme Speed is enough!
It breaks through, gets the KO. That is how you get revenge by being paralyzed. Fantastic play from the Dragon Knight, but now, due to that speed that the Dragon Knight has on Eden's side, it's able to go for the scale shot and deal very swiftly, very smoothly with this guard chomp.
Yeah, it's not able to take any amount of scale shots, not when you've got that loaded dice item boosting the chances of the 4 to 5 times. 3 shots was enough. Another defense drop there for the opposing Dragon Knight. Does get another speed boost though, which is huge because this tailwind on Eden's side has just ended. But the jump love coming into Joe's side, it is going to have access to that tailwind. It is going to have access to sleep powder. Can it be enough to carry Joe through the rest of this match when Eden's got that Ursaluna, the Blood Moon, just coming out fresh onto their side of the field?
The Ursaluna is terrifying. It's in a great position here, particularly if the Dragon Knight is able to be paralyzed a couple of times. That can give Eden a few more opportunities to get some damage on the board. Both trainers down to their last 2 remaining Pokemon in this game 3 of top 8. It is going to take a lot for these trainers to battle it out to get through to top 4.
Yeah, and even now, if you get the tailwind up with a jump fluff, is it really going to help your Dragonite too much with that paralysis? His speed's being cut in half, so it's not going to be that effective. I think you've got to look at other means. Ursaluna, the Blood Moon, is going to be weak to that Leaf Storm from the jump fluff, so that's an option there. Maybe Extreme Speed and Leaf Storm might be enough to pick it up, but you've got to worry. There is the Assault Vest.
Maybe a couple of critical hits in here could change the way for jump fluff with these scale shots. We've seen it hang on twice before from the hits, but is it going to be able to do it a 3rd time? I think as long as this isn't a critical hit, jump fluff is going to be here to stay. Yes, 7 HP remaining, so it's going to be able to utilize its natural speed to try and get back into this match.
Yeah, and that's the big thing here. We are going to see the sleep powder, and it does land. That is a huge play here for Joe. It shuts down that big, oppressive option in that Blood Moon Ursaluna.
That's exactly what jump fluff needed to do to slow the pace down on Eden's side, because that Ursaluna is going to be hard to get through. Dragonite going for the Ice Spinner here. This is going to be a great way to use your physical presence to deal a super effective attack, but it's not going to be enough. You might need to double up with the jump fluff, going for something like a Leaf Storm to get the knockout.
Yeah, but are you going to be able to outspeed the Dragonite? It doesn't look like it, and a 6th scale shot's going to be enough from Eden with that full health, multi-scale intact. Dragonite, unfortunately, has taken a lot of defense drops right now, so will be very, very, very vulnerable to anything like an Ice Spinner, anything like an Extreme Speed. The Ursaluna waking up though, and it is going to launch off that Blood Moon.
It's still a 2v1. Dragonite has gone down. Eden Bachelor, with the power of this Dragonite and that Ursaluna in a commanding best-of-3 set, is able to take the victory and advance into top 4. Oh my goodness, Eden Bachelor, what a match.
Absolutely incredible from start to finish. It was fast, it was furious, and Eden Bachelor comes out as our winner, moving on to the top 4 of this Stuttgart Regional Championships against what was a formidable opponent in Joseph UGARTE.
I mean,